Hi, and first of all, thank you so much for making the time to do this interview. You're releasing your new album, Grim, in a couple of weeks. How are you feeling about the upcoming release, and how are you doing in general?
Thanks. I'm doing great. It has been a really hectic time. It also is always really hectic at this point of making an album phase. Is it's like you wait for 6 months and then everything goes like boom, and then you should start working a lot. But I'm really happy about it because it means that we are doing well at the moment, and I'm really happy about our new album too. And I think it's our best album so far. Yeah.
I would like to immediately start talking about the new album, and I want to ask you first about the title because, in my opinion, it has different meanings as well.
Mhm.
So, as I understand, it's the place in the story, but also it could refer to kind of the dark nature of the story. And I feel that there might be also a little bit of a wink to the Brothers Grimm who wrote the fairy tales and such. Was that like a conscious choice, or how did you come about the title?
Yeah, I always like these kind of word games, like the different when a word has different meanings. And here they, like you said it perfectly. It's just like that. And because grim means something really dark, and this album starts a really dark mystery, this kind of dark fairy tale kind of like a story concept, and it also. And it also opens up the thing that there is a story in our music behind it every time, and also and that's the reference to the Brothers of Grimm. And yeah, and it's a I think it's a for me it always sounds like a place, and that's what I
Mhm.
wanted this to be. Yeah, it's a city called Grimm. Yeah.
Obviously, the storytelling is one of the most important factors about Dark Sarah's music. And you mentioned also, like in your answer, but what do you think are the main inspirations for you to get the story together? Do you read a lot of fairy tales or these kind of legends and stuff like that? Or how does your imagination work in that sense?
Yeah, it's a weird thing how my imagination works actually, because it can be like in a grocery store when you are buying stuff, and then suddenly you have that's it. That's the perfect thing. That's how my mind works. But of course, I've read a lot of books when I was young. Actually, I never, nowadays I don't have much time to do that, but always I've read a lot of stories like these short novels, and my favorite books were something with elves and also with something magical and with wizards and so on. So it has always been my inspiration source, this kind of stories. So I think that even though I want to try out writing something else, they always end up being fantasy stories. Yeah, but that's what I'm doing, and I'm embracing the
Yeah.
thing now. On Dark Sarah, I maybe tried to start something else, but it became a fantasy story anyway. So now I'm embracing it like with all my heart, and I'm really happy about it. Yeah.
So the previous storyline, it ended with the death of the character Sarah. Was it difficult for you to say goodbye to that character? And how was coming up with an entirely new story? Did you have this planned from the start, or are you just going kind of with the flow in terms of the story?
I go with the flow. Yeah, I did that with the trilogy too, because when I started Dark Sarah, I didn't plan to write a trilogy, but it kind of grew all the time forward and forward, and it became a trilogy. But also this time, I kind of I go a lot with the flow, but still, I in the end of the trilogy, I kind of felt that I was changing. A lot of things were changing. The change was kind of in the wind for a lot of times, and I felt a little bit sick with Dark Sarah already. I felt that she was kind of the victim of circumstances in so many things. I couldn't kind of change her path. She was what she was, and both Dark Sarah and Sarah, they were both like, they both ended to be abused by their men in their lives. But for this new character, which is actually a little bit linked to the first trilogy, I feel that Luna is much more like determined, and she's independent, and in that way I feel that I'm much more related to her at least. So let's see what kind of person she will be.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you already about how the both protagonists kind of differ from each other. So thank you for answering that already.
Oh, that's okay. I don't know the whole story yet. So let's see how she grows up during the story. Yeah.
So what in general is this album about, if you can shortly talk a little bit more about the storyline?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a continuous. It starts a new continuing story, and the whole story takes place to a city called Grimm, and it's a really dark place. But it hasn't always been like that. There has been really lovely times, and people who lived there, they used to use their own magical powers to do every kind of normal like tasks at home and so on. So it was a lively city. But then something bad happened there, and Mörk, who is the monster, he came to the city and stole all the magic powers of these people, and they have been living in fear forever since, and it has been like 200 years, centuries anyway. And it kind of the fear is living so deep inside of the culture, so they can't even try to do anything else but just hide in the shadows and wear the rapid masks. And now that they have been waiting for a moon deity. There has been this kind of a legend in the city that one time the moon deity will come with the train of hares, and they will save them from their misery. And now the time has come. So yes, so this is where the story starts.
So the bad guy in the album, Mörk, he's the voice, it's Yasse Atalas. How did you pick him? Do you feel like he has this kind of bad guy thing in his voice, or was that at all important to you?
I kind of felt that I needed, for the role, I needed to find a singer who can also sing really well with clean vocals, but also growl. And I was watching TV last year, and he was there attending this Voice of Finland competition. And immediately when I saw him, I was like, okay, this guy is good. And I thought that he would be a perfect voice for this role. And of course, people always think that there would be better if there were more like known people, celebrities. But I think that it's a good thing that young people and new talents are also getting their voices out, and that's why I also wanted him to I asked him if he would be willing and interested in joining this album, and he was really excited. So, and he's really nice person too, so it was nice to work with him. Yeah.
I actually felt with this album that the story is also being told by all the orchestrations and through your voice and the other singers in this album. How do you usually see it yourself?
In what way?
Like, do you also think that the cinematic atmosphere is the most important part of the band to tell the story?
Yes, I think so. But on this album, we tried a little bit new kind of angle to this storytelling, and maybe not using so many orchestrations, and maybe trying to to change it to a little bit digital sounds more on this album. And I think that actually the movie music, if you listen to cinematic music from the soundtracks, you can hear that that's also some change that has happened in movie music too. So I think it's really important for us to kind of create the scenery with the music first. But then, of course, we can have really bombastic songs and really forward-going songs, and they don't need to be so theatrical that we had on our previous album. And in that way, I wanted this to kind of really make a really big difference to that album, even though it was my dream come true to make almost like a musical play on a CD. But still, I wanted to kind of really start something new on this album. And I think that we kind of managed to do that, but still having the kind of yearbook feeling or something like that. Yeah.
Does that mean that the writing process for this album also changed, or was it relatively the same as you guys have done with the previous albums?
It has been changing through our history, because I didn't write music when I started Dark Sarah, but I started writing music and it has grown and grown and grown. And for this album, I've written almost everything, and also co-written with our producer Mikko P. Mustonen. And he also adds things to my songs, and from the point when I sent him the demos, and then we start kind of working them together, and he's a really talented person, and he can create these kind of sceneries to the ideas that I have. So he has become a really important part of our sound too. And what I love about him, that he's really capable of making changes. So he's not like doing only one thing, and that's, and now that we kind of wanted to do a little bit change in our music style too. So he was really into it, and it was fun to work with him for this album.
A couple of months ago, you also signed with Napalm Records. How has the collaboration been so far, and how has it been like to change from being an independent band to being on a bigger label?
It has changed a lot of things. I think that suddenly I have these video calls and lots of interviews, and I'm like, it's my half a job at the moment, besides packing this web store stuff. And of course, I think that there is a big team working for us, and it's really lovely to see that they want to give us a try, and let's see what we can do with this band when they get more attention. And it's really lovely, and yeah, I'm really hoping that it stays like that.
You guys still had the IndieGoGo campaign for this album as well. Can you talk a little bit more about how the campaign worked and what the results were?
The results are here. I needed to show it to the people too. I show it already, but it's because the style that how we work is that we have people working for us, working for the music, and also it's not that we do everything on our own in our home studio. We need to rent a studio and then mix and master and everything. You pay for some people to do the work, and that's why our albums are always quite costly, and because it has been from the start, it's really hard to change, to start doing everything on your own, besides everything that we already do on our own. So it's really necessary for us at this point of our career still. But we have been really, really fortunate that we have so devoted fans that they want to support us. And that's why I've been also wanting to give our fans the best that we can. And I do a lot of by hand, like perks, and I spent a lot of time to figure out what would make our fans happy. So it's kind of like I try to make them happy, and they keep you making music. And I think it's a really nice thing that people can do that to nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely been like kind of a success from the first album on. People were really invested in buying the perks and all that. So I think you guys have done a great job with that.
Yeah, I think that, and also it has been it has grown all the time, and I still know some people who have been there from the start. I know them by name, even though I never seen them. But because we made quite many of these crowdfunding campaigns, and then they always find us from there again, and I remember them by name. Not everyone, of course, but many of them are still the same. And it's really lovely to see that even though music is changing, we are changing, everything is changing around us, so that the same people stay. Yeah, it's really lovely to see.
You also released this music video, All Ears, and I think it was like a really cool video. How did it come about, and where did you get the idea from, or was it the director's idea?
It was. I wanted to have this kind of scenery. What happens in the story? Where this is taken from? It's where Luna is standing on the podium, and then there's these people who have been like enchanted, and they come to see her, and she tries to convince them that it's that now they need to fight back. They don't go back to the holes that they have been spending for centuries, and they come to see her, and then they start the war against Mörk, and that's the thing what is happening on the scene. And that's what I wanted to kind of have, like this little bit kind of this fighting or army thing. It's not an army, but still she's like what is it, the word? She's the head of the group in that way, and she wants to kind of convince them that there's lots of different things. There's power in their magic, and they need to kind of find it again. And it's that kind of song, yeah. And I feel that it's really like mystical and maybe whimsical even. Yeah.
The video is also released through Napalm Records channel, so it can also, attract new crowds. How have the reactions been so far? Did you gain a lot of new fans because of releasing the video through their channels, or?
Hard to see, actually. I stopped watching those comments at one point when I noticed that this is not going to make me happy. Yes, I was like, okay, and then I stopped watching them. But I know that, of course, it's a good thing, in my opinion. Not to be in the safe zone in that way. If it makes you angry, if it makes you sad, if it makes you feel something, it's a good thing. Even though hatred, that maybe even that we have got there, but it's really really weird. But still, I think that it's a good thing, because people start talking, and maybe the not so loud people start following you. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah.
Now, going back to the video, also, I really enjoyed your promo photos, and I think that the visual side of things is also very important for your band. Do you agree with that, or?
Yes, definitely. And because you're making kind of a concept, it starts from when you think about like a movie. There is the music, which creates kind of the mood of and builds up the excitement, and also there's the plot, of course, but then there's how everything looks like. What are the people wearing? Where is this scenery? What is the scenery? Where is this happening? How the people look like? It's really important part of the concept building. And here I think that because we don't have a full-time, movie time that we can create this, and that's why it's even more important for us to kind of nail the things that we want to have with the album cover booklets and videos and also promo pictures and also how our websites look and everything like that. So it's yeah, like you said, really, really important.
How do you usually pick the people you are working with for those things? Do you come with them with an idea and then you go from there, or do you pick someone and then let them like go free with the lyrics and the music?
I think I'm a worse client because I always have so ready pictures in my mind. I have I could draw them if I could, or paint them, or if I could make them look as as perfect as I see them. But I think that I found people who can deal with that thing, and also who have been there from the start. And like Markus Nieminen, who has directed our music videos, he has also grown into Dark Sarah, and he knows it from the cover to cover what we are all about. And also what I do, I have this Pinterest page that I gather a lot of material, what kind of mood I want, what kind of scenery I want. So it's kind of this kind of idea, making base. What is it called? I don't know. And I lose my English sometimes. But yeah, but it's a kind of, I think it's really hard for some artists to kind of start creating something that the client has already, their minds, and it's not everybody wants to work like that. Yeah, I mostly do that.
That mean as a client you also might get like disappointed maybe if something doesn't really go your way, but later on you might see why an artist made a specific choice or something?
Yeah, sure. And of course I'm not like that kind of person that I don't give any freedom for the artist. No. And actually sometimes it's a good thing because they come up with a better idea. But it's kind of like what I want to see, how I see it, how I want give the directions or anything like that. It's like I build up like a skeleton, and it's the basis of the artwork. So it's the ideas, colors, mood, but then the other part is up to the artist. Yeah.
Okay. I also noticed that you're planning a show at On the Rocks, which is also partly streamed. Since there is an audience, are you guys taking any measures to make sure that everyone is safe? Or how should we see like a coronavirus approved concert nowadays? Because it's one of the first ones in Finland, at least, probably around the world as well.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I'm not sure yet, and I think that these are things that also can change during the summer. Mm-hmm. If this virus thing starts, building up again, I think they need to do something, restrictions again. But at the moment I know that I'm not sure, but I think I know that at the moment in August, it should be a completely free for audience show. But of course, with the certain restrictions, like they have hand sanitizers and everything like that. But people, when they don't have rules what they can do. So yeah, let's see. But it's going to be a live stream. So even though if something happened in the virus situation in Finland, it would still be streamed online. So
okay,
yeah.
Do you think these kinds of like hybrid shows, for a lack of a better term, is that, you think, the future of live music?
I think so. Yes, it's because it's always really hard for fans to travel to their bands. If it's like for us, we live in Finland, it's like the corner of the world. Yes, in that way, it's really hard. it's really expensive to travel and tour. And for smaller bands, I think that this is like a good way to get more views, to get more people to see your shows. And even though you never know if there will be something as bad as this COVID-19 in the future, hopefully not. But but I think that the culture scene has to change and adapt, and everybody has to change and adapt, actually. So it's a good thing that these kind of things are developed.
Did this pandemic situation, did it have a huge effect on Dark Sarah as a band, or was it still okay?
In that way, I think that it has affected worse for the bands who get their income from touring, and that's what they do. They release seldom new CDs and new albums. I mean, not CDs, no more, but they release maybe not so often music, but they tour a lot. I think that this is something that is really affecting them badly. But of course, the income is then quite much bigger than for smaller bands who maybe need to work something else to get their income. But I think that in our case, because we have been releasing music all the time, and this time we had also recorded our album before this whole thing started. But I think that because I was really hoping that for this album we could maybe get more shows and tours even, and one main goal I had was that we could arrange at least 3 shows in Central Europe. Mm-hmm. So let's see, because now the whole booking calendar is empty. Nobody's booking anything, maybe rebooking those shows that didn't happen, but maybe not booking anything new. So I'm just hoping and praying that this album will bring us more shows. But other than that, I think it has been quite easy for us in that way.
Are you also like, should it take a while before you can get to those shows? Are you planning to just dive back into writing music, or do you really, really want to perform these songs?
Yeah, we would love to perform. I think that's something that we have been waiting for every time. But as what I've been saying, that if we don't have shows, then we release music, and that's the thing that we continue doing if Nepal Records is willing to do that. but still, that has been our goal anyway, to do that. So, and make more music and keep on doing that. But I think that let's see. But I've started, of course, because I'm starting a continuing story. I always need to kind of have an idea where this is going. So of course I have everything bubbling up again in my the witch's pot for the second part of this story. Yeah.
What can fans expect from the streaming show? Are you planning to play through the whole album, or is it going to be a mix of the albums?
I think that we are trying to concentrate a lot for the new songs, of course, because it's a release show. But we're going to include songs from our previous albums, from every album, something. Yeah, and welcome.
All right, that sounds at least exciting. I hope like a lot of people will be able to see the show. I don't have any questions anymore, so I have one left, which is if you want to share any last thoughts with people watching this video and your fans.
Yes, thank you for watching so far and so long, me rambling about everything. But I hope that you find all the stories, because you can read all the stories and listen to the music, because there will be a Grimm storybook. And it's on our web store, and also where is the other one? Not here anyway. But there's also the Chronicles book. You can read them. They are really short ones and narrow ones. So even though if you don't like reading, it's easy to do. So listen to our songs, read the stories, and come to see us on our show. Yeah.